Hey, Spuddies, Potato Whiskey here, and welcome to the alternative timeline, the one where humanity still had a chance, where we were able to send me back in time with the knowledge of what is coming, with the storm of steel and alien rain that is coming on the Earth. I am ready, and I am prepared. I have the capability, the technology. We are expanding in space massively. In particular, around Mercury, we have specialized HABs coming up that are going to massively boost our research as well as our control points. But we're also not expanding too aggressively. We're playing it slow. We're playing it carefully. We're maintaining diplomacy. And most importantly, we're maintaining an aura of low threat. They do not fear me. They do not know that I am coming for them. I'm on the hunt for aliens. I have contained one, but I know that there is an alien around here somewhere doing something. Most of the world's powers are under control of sympathetic people. For example, China is under the control of the resistance. Russia is under the control of humanity first. Not sure I love that, but I mean, I'll take it. I've got America. I've got Europe. I think I would like to take Canada away from the initiative. That would be ideal. Canada has a really, really good amount of mission control. But I think part of my plan is to take Italy over the course of this episode. If we can kind of drive them out of Europe and slowly start to integrate Europe into the alliance. I also believe the southern Balkan states now are ready to be merged in. There's 13 million people here. It's a relatively low economy. But we have been building a decent amount of spoil, so this will add a little bit of cash. I'm going to go back to investing in knowledge now to get this up so that it doesn't average down the knowledge of European Union when it gets integrated. I think it's actually ready to be integrated. Yes, so let's go ahead and get that done. This will free up command points, and I think if I'm going to integrate the southern Balkan states, maybe it would be good to release Portugal. Or I suppose maybe it would be good to spend those resources on stealing back Italy. Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. Regardless, unrest in the European Union is becoming a little bit of a problem. One of the biggest barriers against unrest is your per capita GDP and the number of armies that you have. So I may look to spawn another army in the European Union and spend a little bit of time boosting the economy. Right now I'm still focused on science, which I think is a reasonable thing to do. But that's generally an overview. I'll check back in when something interesting happens, because we might be able to get a chance to shoot down some aliens this episode. 500 volatiles for the resistance. I guess I could probably get away with giving them like 250, right? Because they're broke on volatiles. Yeah. So I'm doing this to bring the resistance back down from being in conflict with us. See, now we have tolerance, and we should have tolerance with every single faction. We integrate the southern Balkan states, completely absorbing them, lower their command point cap, thus increasing the population and the science potential of the European Union. And finally, the skunk works are finishing. This is huge. That's another 50% to my project income here. So up to 109% on that. And more importantly, it means that I can start researching a sixth project, and every single one of these projects that you're investing at least one priority into gives you a 5% boost in your science. You can see here, we're making 36.1 thousand science per year. If I go ahead and put 1 point in here, now we're making 37.6. So that's a huge amount of science just to have this pressed at level 1. I'd really like to kill Ting Yung Kang if I could. He's a relatively well-developed character compared to most of the servants. So if I steal Italy and then kill this guy, that should kick the servants back down a level, which will make it harder for them to advance. They are working on the Hydra language, so I am also going to want to try to like sabotage that project too, because anything I can do to slow them down on their objective will make my life easier in the long run. Remember, I have the hardest mission in all of Earth, which means I'm going to need the most time to achieve my objectives. One thing I don't like is the servants have already started to militarize space, in particular around Mars. That unfortunately means I'm going to have to found my own station around here. And I managed to turn an agent from the resistance. This is mostly just so I can stay in touch with the resistance, because they're going to be an important tool in my arsenal for slowing down the servants. I don't actually really want to stop them from doing anything. Right, we're in full control of Italy, and we have a few things that we need to handle. First of all, we need to go do a bit of diplomacy with humanity first. Italy has fully built all of the mission control that it can. So our mission control is extremely healthy right now. The nice thing is integrating Italy should spawn me an army, because they have a certain amount of investment points in army, which should get merged in with the European Union and thus spawn an army, which is basically a nice way to get an army for relatively cheap. I could actually finish the army in Italy, but I don't think we necessarily want to do that. Our main goal is just to build up the economy, welfare and knowledge of Italy so that it averages out slightly better when it gets merged in. There's 60 million people here. It's worth 2.5 trillion. If we can get it merged in to the European Union, that'll be a huge boost to the power of the European Union, especially the research power. That'll be an extra, like 20%, or maybe call it like 15% extra population, which should result in 15% extra science. once we continue to push our education up. I believe we have a full democracy in here now, that this cannot get any better as far as I can tell. I definitely feel like we need to get the GDP in Europe up slightly. So I'm going to scale back the investment into knowledge. I think we need to get around 55,000 or maybe 60,000 GDP here. And the reason for that is the higher your GDP up to a point, the more research you get. It scales quite well, but it'll also mean we have more investment points. It'll also mean that it's harder to take over this country. And there's just a whole bunch of benefits for raising up the average GDP slightly. Yikes, an Arctic methane eruption. At least it is an opportunity to get a little bit of research. 250 bonus science, not bad. Also, by the way, my research campuses around my HABs are online, which means they're now bringing in per month as much as the European Union. Like, look at that, 1,000 science per month. Now, it comes with a pretty hefty water and volatiles cost, as well as a hefty money price. But I think that's money well spent. I think that's super, super, super worth it. So visible combat lasers has been researched. This will lead to light green laser batteries, medium green laser batteries, and light green laser cannons and medium green laser cannons. This is also a step towards ultraviolet laser cannons. I think green arc lasers is what I had wanted to go for. I think green lasers is when it becomes good enough to maybe fight the aliens. I might start making like a ship or two. The big thing we need to get next though is directed space research, because this is going to allow me to start making Earth interface incredibly tech efficient. And that will be a huge step forward for us. So I think that's what we're going to work on. Directed space research. Now we're really behind in certain areas like sociology and law and all this sort of stuff. Like we can get ultraviolet combat lasers if we wanted to. But I think directed space research is going to be a huge leap forward for us in our ability to make use of the resources around Earth and in general. Technology will be our savior. So optimizing for technology seems like the play. So she has a reasonable chance to detain this guy. I'm going to do a rare full spend to get the detain. We'll grab our diplomat and try to turn another agent from the resistance. This one will be pretty hard without the detain, but I think if we can pull it off, it'll be a big boost. Another alien just landed on Earth, which we are going to start hunting down. I think there's a couple of them running around right now that we need to get control of. I'm also trying to stay on top of researching these long-term techs, right? 5% economy priority, a little bit of management control, all these like passive boosts. I'm trying to just make sure I'm putting like a little bit of resources into it. So green laser cannons are what I would start to consider things that are usable against the aliens. If we take a look here, right, this green laser cannon, it is a nose mount. That's 300 tons, but most importantly, you can see here, armor effectiveness at 200 kilometers. This is a 1 hard point, so something on an escort here, between 250 and 300 kilometers, this would be effective at fighting enemy alien ships if we put a point defense on it and stuff like that with a good engine. That's less true of the hull mounted lasers, but I definitely feel like anything with a nose mount and a point defense array is starting to look like it's possible. And really what it comes down to is the base shot power of megajoules. If you look here, right, the medium green laser battery has a effectiveness at 500 kilometers of 150 megajoules. If we take a look at the light green laser cannon with 200 megajoules, you can see it's more effective. So really what we want to do is get this base shot power up as high as possible. So this medium green laser battery is a hull mount using 2 hard points, does less damage than a light green laser cannon, which is a nose mount. So nose mounts tend to be generally better, but it does require more angling and pointing of the ship. And then if you compare it to the light green laser battery, that's even worse. But the medium green laser battery, I believe, dictates what defenses our stations will use, although I'm not ready yet to push for where I need to start fortifying my stations. I'm still in defensive mode and just slowly researching things that give me long-term benefits like civilian photonic computing, fleet combatants, hydric diplomacy, etc. So it looks like the aliens have started doing terror missions, which means that's going to be something we have to hunt them down for. So the only good alien is a dead alien, at least for now. We have found an alien in Southeast Asia that we're going to have to destroy. I also didn't notice that my defenses on America had lapsed, so I'm going to go ahead and get my best agent with a ton of espionage. I can't set up a preemptive purge. God damn it, nor a preemptive crackdown. I can at least find out who targeted me and deal some retribution. So unfortunately, Humanity First managed to get a control point in America, but I'm actually kind of okay with that. It's only a single control point. It's 1/6 of the investment points that they're controlling, but they're investing it into military anyway, so I can kind of live with that. It'll hinder my plans, but it won't ruin them. We're going to try to detain the alien. We've got a 65% success chance. What I would really like to be doing is intercepting the servants, because I know for a fact they're working on a project that I want to stop them from doing. But if I can't pull that off, it's not the end of the world. The nice thing about the aliens is they tend to operate in areas. So like this alien tends to like operate in the Southeastern Asia area. He's like bouncing around from these areas, so you can tend to find them. So it looks like they did manage to research one of their important techs before I could stop them, but I will blow up Defend the Earth at least. So there's directed space research, giving us access to Tech 2 research in space, which is huge. I think it would be good to work towards our space future. That's going to be important to get like colony habs and ring habs and stuff like that in the long term. I also need to start thinking about like propulsion and weaponry. So something like adamantane armor would be a good step forward for our spacecraft. So we're in conflict with a lot of factions right now, which is not good. We want to start bribing them. In particular, we want to bribe the Initiative, Project Exodus, and the Resistance. Ideally also the servants too, before they start like acting against us. Let's blow up Hydra language just to slow down the servants. This will also get us a little bit of tech, but most importantly, this will set them back, right? This makes it harder for them to establish the alien nation on Earth, delays them by a few thousand science. It will piss them off, which is not ideal. But we have managed to scratch another alien. Amazing. So we've captured so many at this point. And I'm pretty sure you get a boost to your Hydra technology stuff from capturing aliens, which I'm a big fan of. Alien Fleet Victor 48 has launched a trajectory targeting Xeno Station. So Xeno Station is where? That is one of my habs around Earth. So I think this is the first time that I've triggered retribution from the aliens, which is surprising because I'm so low on mission control. But I think this might be retribution, so we'll see what they do. I'm a big fan of the fission reactors, so I'm going to go for the molten core fission systems. That'll hopefully be a step forward for our propulsion tech in that category. Yeah, so the aliens have destroyed Xeno Station in low Earth orbit, so they're probably a little bit upset. That's okay, Xeno Station was not super important yet. Now, they're also going for Mandela Station, which is annoying. Mandela Station isn't super powerful. I'm okay with losing a couple of bases around Earth. That should hopefully calm them down, and they should not continue to do retribution. Okay, they're going for all of my low Earth orbit stations. I'm surprised that they haven't calmed down. That's all right. We will let them calm down, let them burn out their fury, and then we'll rebuild. It'll hurt us in the short term, but that's okay. God, they're just blowing up all my space stuff. I'm very, very surprised by this because I have been very low. Wow, they're taking out everything again. Why are they so angry? I don't understand. Because I just captured an alien. My threat level is really, really low. So I'm surprised that I triggered such a aggressive response from them. I have been capturing aliens in a pretty quick trajectory though, to be honest with you. Nice big step forward. Fleet competence is completed, so we can start getting things like battle cruisers. I think I really like the idea of battle cruisers because they have triple nose points. I think that might be the step forward for us. Those nose mounts are insane. South Korea is asking me to join the war against Brazil, and this is actually a really good opportunity to kick the aliens out of there. And I don't believe that it will trigger hatred because I'm joining an alliance. I'm not actually declaring war myself. Where's the capital of Brazil? I think it's Sao Paulo. Brazil has no nukes. The only ally it has is Suriname, which also doesn't have nukes. It's really far away from finishing nukes, so I can safely deploy all of the American armies to Brazil. So yeah, the aliens pruned me out of low Earth orbit just because they got a little angry. They got a little bit angry. I did things that upset them. Is the big bad alien angry? So our arrays around Mercury are complete. We have 10 skunk works, 10 nanofactories, 10 MC, and 10 research campuses, all providing me with a massive boost. I think now is the time where we start refounding orbitals around Earth. We're going to go with 4 orbitals around Earth for now. Not really going to push it any further than that. That's just enough. I've got 4 stations above Earth. I have Fort Terra, which is going to be my shipyard and fortress. I've got XCOM, which is going to be anti-alien activity. I've got AST, which is the Academy Science Station. And I've got the Space Marine HQ, which will be another science station dedicated towards military matters. Fort Terra is going to be my centralized construction and shipyard module. I'm very, very surprised by the aliens' retaliation against me, considering how careful I have been to keep my aggression with them relatively low. Like, I have an extremely low threat level and they're already attacking my new stations. So they haven't quite cooled their jets just yet. So I might need to start making actual ships around Earth to defend my stations and start sweeping away the destroyers. I'm maintaining tolerance with most factions. I'm only missing Humanity First and the Resistance, so I would like to contact them if I could. Yeah, I'm blown away by how angry they are. It's kind of insane. They just seem to be blowing up everything I put in space. Oh my god, the Resistance is completely broke. They have like no orgs. They're having a really hard time. I'm gonna leave them alone. I don't understand why they're still angry. I don't understand. Haven't they burnt off enough rage? Okay, there definitely is some kind of bug or something going on here, because my alien hatred, if I'm reading this correctly, is over 100. And remember, they do retaliation at 50. So they're gonna do quite a few retaliations to me right here, which is not good. Let me have a look and see where the trajectories of everyone is going. Maybe it's just they're really, really angry at how many aliens I've detained. Maybe there's some sort of like extra hatred if you do it multiple times in quick succession or something. But I've really, really pissed them off. But I'm going to continue killing the aliens because it's the best way for me to buy time. Even though it's not my ultimate goal, I think it is part of my plans. I believe this is also an alien operating in this area, so if I could deal with him and stop him doing terror missions, it would be good. We found another xenoform. This is xenoform Alpha 17. He only has a salamander shock troops. He's 22 security, so he should be killable. The aliens do get harder to kill over time, but we are actually detaining them, interestingly enough. There's Hydra diplomacy, which is a big step forward for us technologically on the Hydra front, and we're going to continue to passively research our objective technologies while we work on stabilizing and protecting Earth. Alright, so we've occupied Sao Paulo. Let's go ahead and take out Brasilia. They are about to deploy an army, which is unfortunate. We'll have to kill that. But we should be able to occupy this without too much trouble. We're technologically 7 pips ahead, and each pip is about a 10% better combat strength, so I don't think we have anything to worry about there. This is pretty painful. Kessler syndrome has been triggered based on all of the alien retribution in low Earth orbit. Very, very unlucky. It looks like they've cleaned away a few stations. We've completed the light green laser cannon, which I think was one of the last components that I needed before I was going to design a ship class. I'm kind of missing a heat sink, but we should be fine. No, I need adamantane armor. Yeah, I need adamantane armor and better heat sinks, but this is more or less the ship that I plan to design. It's going to have a decent amount of nose armor. But I need lighter armor and ideally laser drivers. It's going to have 2 nose-mounted cannons with 2 point defense, and it's basically going to be a anti-destroyer ship. We're going to try to hunt down enemy destroyers with it. It's a reasonable combat ship capable of doing okay. Half a G of acceleration is what I would consider to be like in the range of acceptable. We're using a Dumbo drive. It's not the most efficient engine. 50 propellant tanks is quite a lot for 500 water. It's not in the range of insanity though. I suppose what we could do instead, I want about 10 kps with half a G of acceleration. This is just like a more expensive and worse version of the ship that I was just making is the problem. 300 propellant tanks. I think I need to work on better tech. So unfortunately I can't make spaceship yet. I think adamantane armor and maybe a fission spinner drive would be the step forward for me. It's kind of unfortunate that that Brazilian army popped out when it did, because unfortunately I have to kill it in order to occupy Brazil, which is obviously not the play that I would like to be doing. It's always nice when you start to find upgrades to your setup. So right now I'm using 2 separate boosts here to get my org or my engineering project boost. But now I've been checking this fairly regularly, and I've been looking for people that have +2 and some extra stuff. So it's a way to like get per slot efficiency on my guys. And I've just been trying to keep an eye out for things like this as well, like the Los Alamos National Laboratory. That could be quite good on my scientist. The other thing is it's kind of annoying to have to like click on it and like check, okay, which ones do I remove? And it's like, what do I get rid of? And it's a little bit finicky and fiddly. But similarly for the investigator, I found that I have the FBI available, which gives me +4, +2, +2. So I can drop some of these older orgs and become more slot efficient. So it does pay off to just check this like on a monthly basis and try to find more slot efficient uses of this stuff. One thing I would like to do is to get my science skill of my counselors up. This will provide me with extra defense against the aliens and also a little bit more passive research. And that alien defense is really, really important. Otherwise, I'm going to be like leveling my security and my espionage to make it so that my counselors are A, harder to detect, and then B, harder to attack once they are detected. Boom. So we managed to topple over Brazil. Now, how did the servants feel about that? Okay, because I didn't declare the war, I think they're actually okay with it. I was just doing what I should do, which has worked out quite well for me. Do I want to hold on to Brazil is the question. Let me have a little bit of a think about my position. Yeah, I think if I abandon a few nations, I can hold on to Brazil, and Brazil is not a terrible country by any stretch of the imagination. 200 million people with a decent amount of democracy, a relatively high education level. Ideally, I would have something like India. India would be amazing, but I mean, I will take Brazil as a runner-up prize. It's not terrible. It needs a bit of work. The unrest is really high. Inequality is extreme. So I think an investment portfolio like this, where I go heavily into welfare, lightly into knowledge. No, you know what? Welfare, actually, this inequality is so extreme that we need to just go full hog into welfare to try and get that down to a more reasonable level. This will make Brazil pretty vulnerable to coups. It's the only thing that I'm worried about. So we are looking to get Hungary into the Federation. Perfect. And then in the near future, we'll be able to absorb Hungary into the Federation. Huge. So we just detained another alien counselor, which is going to give us an update on our alien hate. Oh, they're angry. Oh, they are pissed, dude. They are pissed. Okay. Hey, you know what? Listen. Sometimes you gotta piss the aliens off a little. Sometimes you gotta just poke the bear. Listen, I gotta detain those counselors because it takes them a long time to get them back. And every single one of them that I detain, that's like cycles, years of missions that they're no longer performing. So unfortunately, I am just going to have to... Oh God, you're attacking Sudan now? I don't want to fuck with Sudan. They got nukes. Sudan is allied with Canada. Dude, Project Exodus is just like cleansing the world. I mean, this is allowing me to essentially fight a proxy war against the aliens. Yeah, a little bit of conflict. I think killing aliens upsets the servants and the protectorate, so we need to be a little bit careful about that. This should be pretty easy for like a couple armies to take care of. I'll join that war, but I'll let the Koreans deal with it. So the aliens are a bit pissed. They're going to attack me again. They're going to blow up some of my stuff. That's okay. That's totally fine. It looks like the resistance is working on clearing out the servants as well, which is quite good. Another alien fleet has arrived in low Earth orbit. I believe that might be an alien actually landing. Unfortunately, Fort Terra was not able to get itself online before it's about to get blown up. Yeah, I needed another month. They'll blow up some stuff. They'll get a little angry. They'll blow up a few stations. So I'm just founding stations around Earth right now to try to give the aliens something to target and blow up so they kind of chill down a little. I totally respect that I have been a massive heel. I'm under no illusions. Question, do I want to merge Italy into the European Union now? I think that might be an okay move. It'll bring me under my control point cap. It'll add 2.5 trillion to the European economy. It'll add 60 million population. They're relatively low and yeah, Italy has some problems, but I think it might be the right move. We just researched medium green laser batteries, which I'm pretty sure is what is used by layered point arrays to defend themselves. God, I will just say this. It is so nice, guys. It's so nice to not constantly be targeted. The aliens blow me up once and then they retreat back. Honestly, I feel like I'm fine at the 51 MC. I may do a tiny little expansion on Mercury. We're going to do a little expansion with some new research campuses. This time it'll be 8 research campuses plus 2 farms. This is to bring down my volatiles use, because if you take a look at some of these stations around Mercury, in particular, this station here, Leonardo Station, is using up a lot. So I'm thinking if I cut down on crew numbers slightly, because there's 1,000 crew here, so I would need 4 farms to sustain it. I think if I just throw down, it'll cost me 200 science per month, but it'll mean I have a lot more volatiles to play with. And if I'm going to be expanding in space, I'm going to need a little bit more volatiles. So I'll lose 200. But I will gain like half of this per month, which I think is a reasonable trade, especially because I'm building a second science station. And then for funding, this will just be another nanofactory farm. Quite expensive to maintain, 1 rare per month, but I have a really, really good throughput of rares right now. And this will help make up for the cash deficit of building more research campuses. The good news is other factions are starting to build fleets in space, which I'm hoping will act as a distraction to the aliens. Wait, what the heck? I detained? Did I do that? I don't remember detaining this guy. I don't think that was me. Oops. I gotta go bribe the resistance now. How's Iceland looking, by the way? It's got 4 out of 6 mission control, but we merge in Italy. So if we take a look at European Union, it's making 1.1k, 333 million, advanced, diverse, boom, we merge it in. We lose 5 points, but overall, all our stats go up, which is important. We are going to have to deal with this inequality. Our GDP went down slightly, our GDP per capita, but we'll be able to bring that back up. These are all stats we can kind of restore. Population is an important part of scaling on science, so this will lead to a more powerful European Union slowly over time. And we're also on the verge of deploying a new army. What's our unrest at? It might be good to deploy an army to bring that unrest score down. Apparently a academy, a frigate, has decided to flip over to me. I didn't want this. Where the hell is this thing? Kruthna. I think this looks like an Irish name. What the hell is going on with this? Dude, I don't want this thing. What is it even made of? Dude, this thing is terrible. It's got a 10-inch cannon, crate missile base, and a 30mm autocannon. What is this, Delta V of 10? I can't even send this anywhere. Why did they give this to me? I guess they were just over their mission command limit, as much as I would love to do something with this. I'm just going to go ahead and scuttle the ship and pay the boost to get the crew home, because that ship is basically useless and does not fit my goals. I could probably have used it against Project Exodus if I wanted to really hurt them, but I want the other factions to be strong. I need them to be able to resist the servants. Oh shit, they're doing stuff in Europe. Okay, that's actually big. I need to deal with this. Every time they successfully do a mission like this, that actually increases their probability of succeeding at enthralls later on in the game. That's why it's really, really important to stop the aliens from being able to do their research and running freely around on Earth. 17 espionage, that looks like an alien agent's kind of stats. God, I really need to turn an agent into servants. But they keep hiding from me, and then other things come up, and it's just kind of difficult. I need to like build Agent 42 up as another espionage character, as in like investigation. Right now I've almost have our espionage maxed out. I'm working on security. I got a little bit suspicious when I realized that my science director was spotted by the aliens and they were doing activity here. Well, I would really, really like to leave this alien alone for a little while and not immediately go murk him. I don't think I have a choice because he's working against me in the European Union. He's establishing power there and I need to protect the European Union. So no matter how many aliens they send at me, I am more than happy to try to stop them from achieving their aims. Fortunately, an alien megafauna spawned in Brazil, and that's my job to deal with it. I'm going to send the American army to deal with that. I hope that doesn't trigger alien hate. I don't know what actions do and do not trigger alien hate. There was a revolution in Brazil, which I'm fine with. My main goal was to just take it out of the hands of the servants, but I don't actually care about holding it myself. I would much rather try to break into more important countries. Speaking of more important countries, it might be worth it to start looking into grabbing some of these central countries like the Alpine states and bringing them into the European Union. That's another $1 trillion in GDP, 6 mission control, a little bit of boost, but most importantly, an extra 20 million population to add to the research capabilities of Europe. So it looks like Maria Theresa base on Mars would like to defect to me. I could take this base. Do I want another base? This would be 4 MC that I would spend on this. It's not a terrible base. It actually has decent resources. Not a lot of rares. A good amount of fissiles. Good water and volatiles. It's not a bad base. The problem is that it's a lot of MC, so I think I'm going to decline it, especially because it's a settlement. It's 5 MC. It's 5 used MC, which is crazy. One thing I'm going to do with Europe is to actually cede some territory. Oh wait, did I already cede? Yeah, I already ceded this territory over here to these guys. Never mind. Is there any territory I can cede away to try to bring stability? Maybe it would be good to release Portugal now that I've started to integrate more countries. Yeah, I think releasing Portugal might be the next phase in our operation in Europe because there's no mission control there. And I think releasing Portugal on a temporary basis to build up MC seems like a good move. Alien Fleet Victor 48 has arrived in low Earth orbit. And unfortunately, XCOM is not prepared to defend itself. 16th of March. I need just more time. Fuck! I angered them. What did I do? What did I do? I can't really think of anything I did recently. They're going to keep blowing up my stations because I've been trying to lay low. Well, looks like I'm going to be detaining another alien, so they're going to be super, super furious with me. Huge. We captured yet another xenoform. God, that's going to be... Listen, I'm upsetting the aliens, but I think upsetting the aliens on a short-term basis while I'm still weak and they're not willing to declare total war on me, I think that's fine. I think we will... look, they're a little mad. Okay? They're a little furious. I'm just going to have to live with that fury, okay? All right, so I checked my faction hate in the save file and it's over 300. So we're going to be dealing with... some alien fury for a while. It'll take a little while. It'll bleed away. Look, we're going to burn away that hatred. We're going to let them be mad. They're going to be mad for a little while. They're going to be upset. I'm just going to keep deploying stations around Earth that they can blow up. And I'm going to hold off on doing anything against any alien stuff until I can get established in space and I can get my things around Earth, because I'm shooting myself in the foot. I'm being too aggressive. I need to just chill out, lay low, let the aliens do their objectives, just live with it, let them have their objectives just for now. Now, unfortunately, I do think killing this alien megafauna will upset them some more, but it was the first one that I killed, so I will learn new things from it. Oh, they're destroying my stations. Okay, I need to not infuriate the aliens anymore. I need to chill out. All right, 2 aliens just landed on Earth, which we will hunt down. I promise you. We will hunt down those aliens when we've established ourselves. So one thing that's probably going to be important right now, because I have severely pissed off the aliens, is to take my really, really valuable characters and go into hiding. They're going to do some operations against me because they assess my hatred pretty high. That's reasonable. I can understand the aliens' motivation, for sure. So there's quantum encryption. That's going to lead us towards covert ops so we can get our 6th counselor a lot earlier than we did in our last game. Let's get to work on cybernetics to start improving our counselors. Huge step forward. 6th counselor time. I need a counselor that can do inspire missions. It's the big thing that I've been missing this entire time. I'm going to grab this evangelist on a temporary basis. I think ideally I would like to get something like an astronaut. I just need somebody who can do the inspire mission, essentially, so I can start inspiring my guys and building up their happiness and relationships. We do need to start thinking about how we're going to expand. We have a ton of control point cap right now. It would be kind of cool to get control of India, but it would take a very long time to build India up. I don't think I could ever get control of China. I may look to grab Spain, maybe grab Canada. Ideally Mexico. We could make Giga USA. That could be an interesting play. I think expanding Europe carefully and slowly is going to be the goal, though. We don't want to piss off everyone immediately. And we're also settling into a very careful phase where we're expanding into space around Earth. Molten core fission systems are ready, which means we can go to molten core fission reactors. Molten core fission stuff isn't amazing. Just taking a look at the tech tree, I think my goal is to get to the Pegasus drive. And then late game, I'm going to be going for the H Orion drive. And then ultimately, we will be trying to end on, I think it's called the neutron flux torch. Yeah, the neutron flux torch. This will be our general purpose, high thrust, high delta V engine. Once we get here, we'll be like laughing. But I think if we can get all the way up, it's not the fission frag, but that H Orion drive, as far as I can tell, this is just a really, really decent drive. We are going to have to work on electromagnetic propulsion, fission pulse drive, Orion drives. The Orion drive is actually fairly decent too, and we could get to it relatively quickly, so it'll be forming part of our plans. I think my goal is to go for the Pegasus drive though on a short-term basis as a stopgap on the way, because this is a little bit cheaper to get to, right? We just have to do molten core fission reactor, molten core fission reactor, molten core fission reactor, then fission spinner, and then Pegasus. So that's actually relatively cheap in terms of technology to get us a drive that will be able to not only fight but also do transfers relatively efficiently, even in large hulls. I've just been doing like a little bit of research on what I should get, and those are the goals. This is familiar territory because that's the pathway I went down last time. And the reason I was in here because I need to pick my next tech. So Pegasus actually just requires me to do project research, and we can get it very, very quickly. That means I think I have a little bit of room to go back and just fill in some of these like really, really cheap techs, like arrival sociology. We could get that really quickly. Right, brilliant. We've managed to turn a servant counselor, and a couple of other things have happened. We've finally managed to establish at least one base in low Earth orbit with layered defense arrays. I took a lot of hits to get to this point. They're very, very upset. We're building a shipyard around extreme Earth orbit, and we also have another station coming up in Earth orbit, particularly dedicated towards information science. Now, if we take a look here, there's a few key areas of research that I want to have maximum boost towards. In particular, materials here, energy, and military. Those are going to be three very, very important areas for me to be getting the 50% boost from science modules in space. So that's going to be something that we're working towards, which is why I'm very slowly expanding my stations around Earth, trying not to take up too much mission control. We're starting to get up to a very dangerous level of mission control. We're not too crazy yet, but we are slowly getting to a point now where the aliens are going to take notice. I mean, I already triggered the hell out of them, but I had to stop my operations against them. We've completed Hydra interrogation, getting us back to the next phase of things. We've already gone over that in the previous timeline. Now we can get to work on learning their purpose and learning their weaknesses. The whole bunch of techs we have to get. I think ferrocite resistance is going to be a high priority for us, especially because the aliens are going to start ramping up their operations on Earth very soon. Taking a look at how the factions are doing, the people are not doing amazingly well. I think I'm going to have to feed some bases to Humanity First and the Resistance in order to get their resources up a little bit. The Protectorate is doing surprisingly well. Project Exodus is doing amazingly well, so I'm really, really happy with them. The Initiative is doing okay. I could maybe found a couple MC stations, and I think I might do that. I might found like an MC station around Mercury and feed it to the Resistance so that they have an MC base in space that they might, and then I can feed them more bases that'll, feed their economy because they're struggling a little bit. I'm going to look for somewhere that has a little bit of water, a little bit of volatiles, a little bit of rares, and a little bit of fissiles, and see if I can't feed them something of reasonable quality. Because I cannot stand alone against the aliens because they have the servants, the Protectorate, and that. So I need the war to go on for longer. Big step forward. We've taken control of cybernetics, or we've researched cybernetics rather. I think making our way up towards ring cores and ring habs are going to be an important step in our technology here. So I think getting arrival psychology, extended space survival, space commerce, space future, ring habs, all this sort of stuff is going to be important. Huge. There's Molten Core Fission Reactor 2, which leads to the Fission Spinner Drive, which is the important piece of tech that we need to pick up. Looks like I need to settle things off with Humanity First and the Servants, mainly probably because I infiltrated their organizations. So I'll spend a little bit of time doing diplomacy. I should really consider expanding in Europe, and I think the Alpine states are the next step. Although Czech Republic, look how juicy that is, right? 10 million people, I don't want to hurt them too bad. Yeah, I mean, as much as I would love to take that, I don't think that's the right move. Let's give Humanity First Trade Base Juno. Actually, no, it doesn't make the resources that they need. Let me have a look here. Trade Base Europa would basically cover the needs for them. So let me do that. This will make them very happy and they won't be angry with me anymore. And it'll free up a little bit of MC for me to do other things with. Unfortunately, it looks like I've angered the aliens, probably by targeting the servants. However, they don't seem to be super giga hateful. So they might only blow up one station. Yeah, it looks like I just barely crested their anger level. So they only blew up one station. So I need to sit back, be relaxed, chill. And then I purged an alien. I purged a servant from the Alpine states and then they attacked me again. Okay. You know, a couple bases go down. Totally reasonable. I'm going to just let that alien megafauna rampage. Someone else can deal with that, because if I take the hate for blowing it up, I think I'll start losing my space assets, and I really don't want to do that. This is huge. There's adamantane armor. I just need the fission spinner drive, which will require me to actually roll on a couple of things here. I'm hoping maybe if I research a few like really, really cheap engines, it'll like get my roll on discovering that engine to like trigger faster. So I'm going to like quickly research a bunch of crappy engines. So it looks like they're going to attack XCOM as well. Now XCOM is defended, so we'll see what happens there. They're tolerant of me, which means they're getting a little bit angry. I'm going to give them a chunk of water. 750 water to keep them sweet and not be angry with me anymore. It looks like they're going to attack. Let's go ahead and actually watch the battle. I've heard that the battle can actually go poorly if you watch it, but I'm curious as to how this will do. So they're shooting something that I can't tell. The point defenses are screaming, protecting it. Very nice. And now their ship is starting to take damage. Not much damage, mind you. But you can see why I opted not to build ships with these green lasers, because these are two mounted. These contain two mounts, and we're still not able to really burn this destroyer down very, very quickly. And he's within optimal range. Like, he's not completely like miles away from where this is. Honestly, closer than most of my ships would probably engage this. And just look how long it's taking to kill him. So it'll take us a while. Probably green arc lasers is when we'll be able to beat them. Until then, we'll have to rely on a very peculiar ship design. So I wonder, were their engines knocked out and they're just slowly getting chipped away? Yeah, I think they just got completely damaged. So I think that was quite a successful defense. His engines were completely disabled. We disabled his weapons. So they had a ton of nose armor, a little bit of lateral, and a little bit of rear armor. But I think we managed to seriously damage him. This will be a nice little ship for us to blow up easily to capture alien materials, so that's quite handy. Huge. There's cybernetic implants. I'm going to want to give implants to every single one of my characters. It's disturbing me that I haven't been able to detect the aliens for a while. I think America's economy is strong enough now to where we can stop investing in it. It would be good to start improving America's democracy and welfare score again, just like at a fairly low level. But other than that, we're going to start doing like a pretty heavy send on trying to tech up America. We're into September 2031, which means the alien invasion is potentially not far off from now. Weirdly enough, I'm actually kind of okay with people stealing tech from me for a very particular reason, because it means they will be stronger to resist the aliens, and I'm trying to keep my diplomacy in check with everyone. So there's a rival law. This will lead us to space commerce and a few important technologies. Let's take space commerce, because that will eventually lead down the pathway that we want to go, towards ring habs and all that jazz. Unification with Hungary is on the cards. Let's bring Hungary into the fold. Perfect. A little bit of a boost to our science output. One thing I'm concerned about is the aliens have basically become invisible. I have not spotted one in a very, very long time. Now, to be fair, I also haven't been really scanning for them. I haven't seen even alien activity in terms of xenoforming or anything like that. And I know for a fact there are aliens on Earth, but I'm not even seeing countries with really high servant opinion. You know, they seem to be in a bad way. I'm going to do a little bit of scanning around Brazil. Maybe they're hanging out around there. Okay, I'm kind of concerned. This guy has been failing a lot of 96% missions. So I have a feeling that he has been turned, which means I'm going to start inspiring him with Arkady Kaminsky, who basically just exists to boost all of my loyalties. In the interest of buying time, I'm going to research ferrocite liability theory, ferrocite resistance, and all that sort of stuff. I'm very, very close to being able to create the ship that I want. I'd hoped to be able to actually design it this episode. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. This battle cruiser was potentially going to be how I design it. Please just imagine that I actually had a fission spinner drive rather than having to use these incredibly heavy Dumbos. It would look a little bit something like this. 2 nose laser cannons capable of firing at about 250 kilometers with decent damage, with 3 laser engines and a pair of point defense. Ideally, we would get to the next tier of point defense, but this ship could, I think, very easily deal with a lot of aliens. Now, there is an alternative version that I could do, which theoretically packs a bigger punch. And so this would be the ship that I'm essentially designing. I would probably trim off a little bit of this tail armor and put like a decent amount of armor on the front, because this is very much so a nose ship. It has 2 extremely large laser arrays that can do reasonable damage out to 500 kilometers. We would probably want to get closer. It has reasonable combat acceleration. Ideally, we would potentially have a little bit higher. And we have 3 boosters for our lasers. This will roughly actually put this green this green laser battery up on par with the green nose cannon, so it would actually be able to reach out and touch a little bit further. And the same thing would be true of this 480 cm green laser cannon on the front. It would be able to reach out and touch a little bit harder with those lasers engines. Like, this is a really, really damn good ship. 114 combat power. I think this could do a lot of damage to light ships. Now, it is a three cost array, but I think this is like super efficient in terms of everything. Just the thing that I'm missing is the fission spinner drive. If I had the fission spinner drive, this would be just so much better. That's because the drive that I want to use, this fission spinner that I have fully unlocked that I just haven't actually managed to roll the dice on, it actually has the same thrust. I think it has slightly less thrust than this Dumbo, but the KPS is so much higher, so I'll be able to trim back on propellant tanks. I believe it's a lot more energy efficient, which means my radiators would be a lot lighter, and I think I would be able to go up to a compact solid core fission system, or potentially a molten core fission system, which should, in theory, be a much lighter engine. So it would just be a much lighter and better ship if I could just get that engine. It's actually the only thing holding me back from producing a fleet and then taking control of low Earth orbit. So we're going to go ahead and give 2 bases to the Resistance Mercury HQ and Resistance Mercury Command. This will probably put them over their cap, but in the long run, it will mean that they will have a much more stable base in space. I gave them a little bit of MC, a little bit of money, and a little bit of mining resources. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to mount a better defensive space. They do have a couple of ships around Earth, but people are not really doing an amazing job. I'm loving seeing this. It looks like the servants have just really pissed off everyone on the map, and now they're just massively being targeted. They have like no mission control. All their space resources are kind of relatively weak. They have no control points on Earth. They have very, very weak science. They still haven't finished Hydra language. This is just massive for me. The alien nation is going to take forever to get founded. God, it actually makes such a huge difference to manage diplomacy and not make yourself a target. It is literally the entire game. You can't be hyper aggressive. You have to play very slowly and very carefully. Now, speaking of which, I am about to move against Humanity First in Europe, but I'm trying to do it very carefully and methodically. Ooh, I don't like that. This guy might be compromised. I'm going to have to start boosting his inspiring him. He failed a mission. I've been seeing a lot of that. I feel like a couple of my councillors are turned, which is holding me back. I do have a guy for inspiring, which is okay. Thankfully, though, it didn't matter because I had a high enough chance to just raw purge that because their skills are so high. And it's so powerful to have the right setup to be able to make a difference in this game. We have discovered a terrorized mission in Istanbul. This is big. Another potential alien target for us to take out. And it might be a good idea to try to throw the Protectorate out of Turkey. Do we want to keep Turkey? 90 million people, 2 trillion GDP. Do you know what? Maybe Turkey would be a good addition. How much is it? It's about 36 control. So I think we'll throw the Protectorate out of Turkey and try to take it for ourselves. Now we need to be careful here because we have thrown a coup in Turkey, which is good for us, but it will bring us into conflict with the Protectorate. So we just need to kind of like shift that back to just being neutral with them. Huge Ferrocite liability theory, -2 to enthrall missions. This is one that I hadn't found before, so I'm curious that they might have added more. But I do think it's time we kind of knocked out a few alien techs, although I'm working on Ferrocite resistance, so I might switch that around. Ireland has fully built all of the mission control that it needs, so I'm going to go ahead and merge it back in. I've kind of ran the country into the ground, to be honest with you, over the course of this time. The GDP has fallen, nearly 2,000 per capita, the cohesion, all that sort of stuff. It's all not great. This will cause our education in the European Union to fall, but it will reduce our control point cap and keep our mission control nice and high. Our mission control is looking really, really healthy this game. And I also think Iceland is ready to be merged in, so we've got a decent amount of work to go for. Right, let's fold in Ireland into the European Union. This will hurt our nation ever so slightly. It's getting harder and harder to manage the European Union at the size that it's getting to. It looks like the alien realized that it was being targeted by me and it went to ground, or else somebody else killed it. But regardless, I feel like we got good scouting information on him. I think we might try to take that last point in Turkey away from the Protectorate. At the risk of provoking their ire, Turkey's a really, really powerful nation, and getting control of them. I mean, they have an army, they have a decent amount of mission control, a decent amount of research. This is just worthwhile yoinking, especially because we have command points. And my hope is that I'm doing it in a way that doesn't provoke others. Oh Jesus, Project Exodus. South Korea just launched a nuke at a Chinese army. This is really not good. this sort of stuff is going to contribute to a nuclear winter. Apparently another frigate from the Project Exodus has switched sides again. Not that I really have much of a use for this bleeding thing. The hell is this anyway? Go on, give us a look at you there, bye. A 10-inch cannon crate. Okay, Jesus Christ. It's like the super most basic terrible ship imaginable. I'm just going to go ahead and disband it again. Yeah, no thanks, mate. Just costing me boost. Let's fold Iceland into the European Union. This will again continue to hurt the cohesion and the unrest in the country, but that's fine. Not a big deal. It does mean that all of this 68 mission control is contained in the European Union. One thing I also like is that some of the balance changes that were implemented between this timeline and the previous timeline where we attempted this have really worked out in my favor, because none of my sites are being bombed. And like, if we take a look how much more difficult it is now to blow up these sites. I almost feel like they made it too difficult, like it was an overcorrection. Like if we take a look at Algeria doesn't have a military. It has atomic age score and yet 13.2 military in region difficulty. I think they might have overcorrected. It was a little bit too easy. It was a little bit too easy to do, and now I think it's a little bit too hard. I definitely feel like there should be a chance, and like I suppose this is a low espionage character. If I were to take Agent 42 and look around, like she can do it like reasonably well. But even so, oh joy, Victor 67 is in low Earth orbit. Welcome, 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 the mothership. Oh boy. I wonder if they're going to land armies. I wonder why they're here. Now, killing a mothership would be extremely funny, but it would also completely infuriate the aliens. I don't think I'm ready to do that. It'd be really funny, but I don't think I'm ready. No, I don't think I should do. I don't think that would be a good thing to do. I do like, however, by the way, that because I didn't do like mass expansion in space, like the alien fleets are like totally reasonable. Like, look, 20,000 combat power. I think at this point in the game, I was at like 50,000. This is like a totally reasonable level of, fleet response. They haven't like completely ramped up their economy yet. So yeah, laying low is genuinely the most important part of the game. And I really wish I understood that mechanic. I wish because like it's night and day, like literally completely a different game if you stay underneath your MC cap. It's like a totally different, not frustrating game at all. All right, this is pretty huge. We have access to ships of the line, so we can do super heavy stuff in terms of ship power. Still have not found the drive that I want to find though. We're up to a very tasty 77,000 annual science in research, and then that doesn't even take into account the sheer amount of like multipliers that we have going on right now. Just look at this absolute monster. Solid Core Fission 5, a Dumbo X6, giving it a reasonable amount of combat acceleration, 160 milli-Gs, not doing any sort of evasive maneuvers, but within the realm of maneuvering and pointing its face and maybe dodging some railgun shots from long range. Also quantum battery, nanotube filament, 3 heavy laser batteries, and then, well, 2 heavy laser batteries and then 2 medium-sized laser batteries with 4 laser engines, adding an extra 20 megajoules to every single one of these lasers. Oh, damn. Almost 800 kilometers. I think it's 700 kilometers range. All 4 of these will fire with dual point defense particle beams. This would be an amazing ship to build, except for the fact that it costs 2,000 water a pop. I need a better engine. I'm making my way towards, I think it's called the Pulsar. Maybe it's the advanced Pulsar drive. Is lower thrust, but way, and I mean way better in some other critical areas. The only real thing that is holding me back is a slightly better engine. But I'm going to call that the end of this episode. I think we've made huge progress. We're up to 2032, which I think in my other game was where everything went wrong for me. And we're in an amazing position. We have an amazing space economy. I'm not sure why my volatiles are so low. I'm going to have to figure that out. I think I may have overbuilt in space slightly. Yeah, I'm burning a lot of volatiles on bases, so I may have to, I think I'm up to my 3rd research base around Mercury, so perhaps in order, for the sake of efficiency, I come in here and I drop another farm, bring that crew demand down slightly. But yeah, I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.